Hey everybody, it's Boss BBR Radio. My name is Griffin Hoffman, and with me is Jeffrey Brewer.
What's up?
And James Scherer.
Howdy, y'all.
Some powerful energy.
That's how I always start it.
It's true, you do that.
James? Is that two syllables or one?
Jameis?
People have been calling me Jim lately, and it's been less and less of a question.
Oh,
and I
no.
feel like it's more and more of a power move.
No,
Like it used to be like Jim's okay, right? If it's not okay, tell me. Now it's like Jim's okay. Jim's okay.
Oh, no.
Okay. When you turn 40, you immediately become Jim Scherer. That's what happens.
Do you have a patient named Jim you're not aware of?
I am the patient.
Can I
You're all stuck in here with me.
can I be your assistant so that when you invariably kill patients, I can say, he's dead, Jim?
Is that what this is leading up to?
Yeah, I think
it
so.
That's the most plausible thing. Oh man. Oh
Do you
man.
need to take it back and you just go, it's Jimmy, please? This is Jimmy. And then you play the StarCraft music.
My name is Jim E. Scherer, Jim Entertainment Scherer.
My name is Jim E-Cigarette Scherer. I'm here to blow smoke and no.
To blow smokeless
Econ.
smoke. No.
Whoa, hey. Oh man. You guys don't
Gentlemen, it's
Whoop,
been
okay.
a bit.
It has been a minute. I believe we last recorded 1 week ago. Strangely,
Feels like that.
now that it's the second week of September, it's weirdly there's snow on the ground.
Yeah. So funny. And yet it's still 64 degrees. Talk about global warming being a hoax. I mean, I don't know.
COVID's a hoax, man. In this past week, there's been an Omicron. There's been lots of things that have happened.
So you guys are
great
really
David
forcing my
Wilson.
hand here to make sure I get this thing published and edited and all that stuff.
Yeah, if you could just
yeah.
quickly go and publish and edit it, just go back in time 2 months or 3 months, and then just publish it then. That'd be great if you could.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, is that going to be the game we play today, which is what happens first? This podcast is published, or there's a new variant. Of COVID?
No.
New notable variant.
We gotta
Good one.
date it.
Nah, I'll get this one done. I promise. I got lists to accomplish.
Ooh, okay.
And we got lists of things to talk about here on Boss Bear Radio, where we talk about video games and try and make each other laugh and play video games. Sometimes some more effective things than others.
I was going to say, playing video games, I am glad to say that I've continued to play video games. The number of video games I've played, I don't think I'll ever reach the highs. But
Yeah.
That's really funny you say that, Jeff, because I was looking back at this year and I was like, what a ho-hum kind of a weird year, right? It's been, and then I looked at my list of everything that I've played, and this is actually one of the bigger years, like just in terms of volume of games I've played. Just
was
kind of weird.
I was going to say, and then you watch the Game Awards and you're like, oh, 2021 wasn't that bad. If this is what we have to look forward to.
So, with that being said, do you want to talk about Game Awards first? I'm good with that.
Yeah, we can talk about
our
Game Awards,
our
yeah.
games later.
Yeah, I'm
we'll
into
start
that.
from the most recent, move backwards. So, gentlemen, for you, I prepared a very simple game about the Game Awards.
The most
We're going
dangerous game of all.
Man,
Carry on.
Keeley Man. So, in order for us to just not walk through the Game Awards beat by beat, step by step, and talking about things that we most likely don't really care about, we're gonna play a game, roll a dice, one and two. You can pick something that's like a joke or make something silly, dunk on something, whatever you like to do. If you roll a 3, talk about something that was good and positive and something you liked. And then if it's 4, talk about some hot pile of shit. I don't know. They all you can kind of take them different directions, but I think there's some irrefutable things that'll fall into each of those categories.
The only dice I own is the D20.
Divide by 5, Dingus.
I believe that's not the spirit of the game. I'm ashamed. that you have not come up with.
Also, are you trying to say that you're more nerdy because you only have a D20? That's fucking stupid.
I only have one D20. It's the only game.
Did you get it for free at PAX? Yeah. Do you still have those horribly weighted dice?
Of course I do.
Excellent.
Of course.
That some huckster sold to you?
Yeah. Oh my god.
Did you do a float test on it?
No, my test was I paid a lot of money for some turquoise dice, and then I played the game, the Dungeons and Dragons game. You guys have heard of it. I played
Never heard
that
of
for
it.
a year, and then I just rolled sixes on my D20 like every time.
Wow.
And then I was like, huh, that's weird.
And then you looked at it and you're like, oh my god, 6 is written on every
the
face.
only number.
This must be a weighted die.
It's just a piece of paper.
With D20 written on top. Also, what happens if we roll a 5 or a 6, Griffin? You didn't do all of the sides of a die.
I don't know, guys. I mean, we'll just have to re-roll, I guess. If only there was a way to get a number generated from 1 through 4.
Listen, I'm not a nerd, unlike you two, so I don't know about any
I'm a
other kind of
professional.
dice other than 6 die.
Go
I'm not
to
a
your
nerd.
Yahtzee pile.
There's never been a nerd named Jim, so I'm not a nerd, actually.
I don't know about that.
It's true.
You're not wrong. Okay, since you guys are all incapable of rolling dice, I have a D4.
Ooh, thank you.
Do you
Describe it.
want me to roll? It's a triangle shape, and it hurts to step on.
Sometimes
Just
it hurts
how I
so
like
good
it.
to step on. Okay.
It's like a caltrop.
One of us should go, but before we do, I just want to say that I'm glad you're not going through the Game Awards beat by beat, because, God, I can't remember more than about a minute of it. So.
Yep.
Yeah, we'd be here for the rest of the year recording, I would assume.
All right. Griff, you want to go first since it's here?
I will. Yep, that's fine. Okay, what button do you think I click? Go or start?
I thought you said you were holding a D4.
Yeah.
I gotta go upstairs to get it.
No, just
Oh,
click
interesting.
go. I don't
Stop.
know.
Okay, I rolled a 1.
Okay.
All right, it was start that you have to pick, which doesn't make any sense. Which means I gotta pick a jokey thing. Okay, jokey thing. What the fuck were up with Jeff Keighley's lapels? I need to know. Google will not answer this. Jeff Keighley, the host of the Game Awards, and according to him, the only reason any of this comes together was wearing, his jacket and
His gamer wings.
Yeah, really. I mean,
Cleared for takeoff.
They were like two. It was like a C shape with an arrow in the middle. I don't know. Did you guys know what it was?
Maybe they were a gift from his dear friend Hideo Kojima.
I
Most
think
likely.
they might be breaking up because I don't want to get into other things there. Yeah.
Well,
But
we can
didn't-
talk about it. He wasn't here this
He
year.
no showed.
But he had a little video message. He was like, "Don't worry, buddy.
Okay, just run with it. All
I
right,
still
all
love
right.
you."
I'll be there next year, I promise.
Yeah.
But seriously, these lapels.
They were something else. The little metal flashes. I couldn't make heads or tails of them, but they were lovely.
I'm surprised that you guys don't know. Like, it was the kind of thing where I thought, okay, I clearly don't know what this is, but Jeff and Griff will know.
What was
I thought Jeff had some insight on it too. Like,
Can-
it's Gatorade.
I know this is not exactly Jeff Keighley, and I'm straying from the plan, but I'm going to ask anyway. What was on Reggie's pin, and what does it mean for the future of Nintendo? Because he was wearing a pin.
He was wearing a pin of himself.
He was the Fizamac. I just got through explaining because I watched with some friends, and I explained how one year Reggie wore a Metroid pin, and everyone lost their mind because, of course, Metroid Prime 4 was going to come out. And then a year went by, and there were no Metroid announcements.
It actually was just indicating what the next Nintendo lawsuit is going to be over. What copyright infringement they're going to tackle
It
next.
was just a power move. It's like, we own this. Don't try
Yeah.
to make a game of it.
This is
Yeah.
mine.
All right. Who's up next? Jeff?
Yeah, hit me.
All right. Here you go. You get a 3.
3. Oh, thing I like. God damn
Oh,
it.
no. This is
why
the one
would
you
do
didn't
this
want.
to me. Okay, I'm going to name one or two things I liked.
Well, that's not how the game works.
You know what? Are we going round robin? Is that how this is working?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. One thing I liked. Okay, the Hellblade trailer was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
I don't really like I didn't play the first Hellblade, and I know kind of what it's going for. I understand that it's about psychosis, and they consulted with an actual psychologist, which is pretty cool. This one, I guess, continues that, but the thing that was the coolest about the trailer was there was a giant man. There was a very large man.
He was on
The
fire.
giant man was pretty cool.
He looked like he had a hernia.
Yeah.
Something was not quite right. And I feel
It could have been the
like-
missing legs and the missing arm,
I feel like
half a face.
he didn't do anything wrong, and a bunch of people showed up and started just lighting him on fire.
Yeah, it's very Gulliver's Travels.
Yeah, he just seemed like he was just chilling. Like, I'm really confused as to what the crimes of the large man
I
were.
just need to get to my cave wall and regenerate.
I thought he was just hanging out, you know, like maybe he had suffered, like I said, a contusion in his abdomen area or something, or I don't know, something was going on, but otherwise he was
Jeff,
fine.
Was your immediate thought, are we going to see giant ding doodle within the first 10 minutes?
Yes, it was.
Because it was mine. I was like, all right.
I believe
all right,
I
Mr.
yelled.
Keeley.
I believe I yelled, "Show dick, you cowards," at the TV.
Nice.
But that was pretty cool. In an otherwise tepid show, that was a nice moment.
I thought it was an interesting way to kick things off, which I think, that the tone of it, the fact that it was like, just here's like 10 minutes of of a game that we're gonna play at the outset here.
Was that the beginning? Because I watched the pre-show and it
There
all
was a
blended
beginning
together.
that wasn't Hellblade before that.
Okay.
There was a couple things that happened beforehand, but yeah, I think it was. The
Oh, it
first
opened with
big
Sting.
game.
That's right.
Sure did. Yeah.
To play us on.
Yeah.
All right. I'm done.
Jamie,
I've said my piece.
I want to ask Jamie. You played Hellblade. I remember because you had convinced me, or some things you had said about it convinced me to play it. And I don't know. Do you feel like? Do you have interest in Hellblade 2, knowing what you know about Hellblade?
Yeah, I'm optimistic about it. I enjoyed 1 more for the graphics than anything else. I think gameplay-wise, it was pretty light, and story-wise, it was actually pretty light too. Although the themes and the kind of gimmicks were kind of cool. But
Yeah.
I'm into the second one, if only because it'll be a graphical showpiece, as they say.
I feel like Ninja Theory has a kind of
Known
penchant
for the hair.
for what's that?
Known for the hair.
Known for the hair. They have a penchant for kind of making games that have like cool concepts or like cool themes, but then the execution is always a little shaky, I feel like.
It just seems like there isn't a lot there a lot of the times.
Yeah, it's a little light. Like I'm thinking of what was that monkey game called? Was it like Journey West or something?
Journey West. Yeah.
Yeah. That game was, I love that game, but I'm not sure if its actual like beat by beat moments were incredible. It just was a cool looking, kind of fun to play, but not super deep game. Like that feels like Ninja Theory to me. So I wouldn't be surprised if they continue that.
I mean that cinematic was pretty awesome. Like if there's even like a button prompt, like when she throws the spears, if it's like press RT, like I'm down. That's great.
I just love when
I'm
Keely
playing
was,
a game now.
Keely was like, "This is an actual game," and I was like, "Oh, so there's no HUD, no non-scripted movement. Like what part of this is a game, Keely?"
Yeah.
You think this is a game, Keely?
Jamie, roll on a dice.
Yeah.
Die. You got a
That-
1. Dunk away.
All right. What is with them? Okay. So I'm specifically talking about the Wonder Woman thing. Why do they think that just showing us the logo of a superhero is enough to get people like excited? And does that get people excited? Like, is that the reality that we live in today, where they can show a logo of a superhero and people are like, that'll be a game in 5 years. I'm ready.
I mean, is a logo really any different than a cinematic trailer, though? I mean, honestly.
Very true. Very true.
What was more impactful, the logo being Wonder Woman or the fact that it had Monolith on it? Which logo meant more to you?
Neither.
Neither.
If it had been Gal Gadot and it was like Jewish Wonder Woman, then I would have been like, okay, I'm ready. Fran Drescher is Wonder Woman. Like I would be pretty excited, but I don't know, and that seems to be something that people are very content to receive. Just like we're gonna show you the armor, and you know it's Wonder Woman halfway into this 15-second spot, and then we're gonna say Wonder Woman, and then everyone's happy.
Can we
I
also
don't
just
really get
talk
it.
about how Monolith, like, that Lord of the Rings game was not the one that they showed. We can talk about that later. But the one that Monolith made was, like, kind of not that great. It was fine.
Uh-huh.
Like,
I didn't like it.
It came out around the launch of previous generation
PlayStation,
consoles, and
Yeah.
was like the first game that people were like, "Oh, this is doing some new stuff," but it was really not that fun to play.
No, I think it was regaled due to its system of the Nemesis
Yeah.
variety, and how that was gonna then take the industry by storm and be the new standard for every game. Which, looking back now,
Right up there
Maybe.
with Drivatars.
maybe they copyrighted that one a little too hard. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. It was fun to run into people and they would yell crap at you, like, "Ah, you stabbed me in the eye. Now I'll take your eye out." Like, that was cool.
Yeah.
But
I'm old Eye Taker. Now I'm your nemesis.
yeah, like, are they going to do a nemesis system in Wonder Woman?
I mean, I think that's all the speculation, right? Is like, are we going to see? I think there's less care about it being Wonder Woman and more of it being like, okay, Monolith, show us what you got. What you
Yeah.
been cooking up here?
All right. I mean, I guess, someone's going to care about that.
Yeah.
I just
we'll
liked how
see.
in the middle of those games, like there would be an intro for one of the named enemies, and then while you're fighting that named enemy, there'd be another intro, and then
Well, no,
that
'cause-
one would join.
Because sometimes they would gang up. They'd be like, "Oh, salty Stallion has teamed up with George
Eye Taker.
Wreckface."
Yeah.
But a lot of times it wouldn't. It would just be like, here's another and another, especially
Yeah.
just depending on the way that you played the game. And I remember that being quite frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I also think that if you guys ever ended up playing, what was that one called? The Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I believe. They had this in it, where you straight up had Nemesis.
You know I
And it-
played the
yeah.
living
It was
fun.
Jesus out of that game. I loved that
Yeah.
game.
That game
It
was
was
really
good.
good.
I enjoyed
liked it
that.
a lot more than Valhalla. But anyway.
And I think that system worked quite well where it was as a side aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, fuck
Agreed.
Lord of the Rings.
I want to talk about that other game, mostly just because someone had a very good tweet.
Yeah, go for it, Jeff.
So they announced a Gollum game, which just looks terrible. And Gollum's eyes are they're like weirdly Disneyfied, and I don't feel good about them.
He looks a little adorable.
But the tweet was J.R.R. Tolkien never wrote about how you can press X for Gollum to perform a stealth kill, but it was in his private writing.
Gollum, the untold story.
Nobody
What
cares.
was the? All right.
No, go ahead. What was
No,
the...
I was gonna just make a joke, but it's not ready because I don't know the game. Was it D3 or something? Was the booby dungeon game? on, Jeff.
Oh,
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I think so.
I was just happy to see that yet again. If you have traps and dungeons, nipples come along with it.
I think it was Deception was the name of the game.
Okay, yeah.
I think.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking. D3, D4, or something.
Well,
like
D4 is the swearing game. We'll get there.
that. Okay.
I think it was Deception.
All right. I'll go again here. Stop. Oh, good. I got a 1. Let's see here. Jokes on jokes on jokes. Or dunks. Okay, again, less of a joke, more of an observation and something of interest. Did you guys notice that, let's see here, let me get my notes together. It was during one of the awards that was presented, and dude took stage, and it was, I got too many things here. I'll edit this out. Just kidding. I'm never going to do that. It's going to be really good, guys. Trust you and me.
I'm waiting.
Oh,
Yeah.
Was it
Yeah,
when that
yeah.
lady said Genshin Impact? Fucking owned.
No, that did. Yeah, okay. I'll table my current one until I can find it. But yes, Genshin Impact winning the Mobile Game Award, which 1, did not deserve, and 2, just way to beef. Just that poor eStream person
Yeah.
who could
Yeah.
not
I think she
catch
was
a
a
break.
WNBA lady or something.
Oh, sure.
Jensen.
Hey, man, they're all sports athletes in my book.
True. You know what? True.
Yeah. The only positive is, right, more free shit for Genshin, and then Genshin was trending on Twitter, which made me chuckle.
Why do you think Genshin doesn't deserve Mobile Game of the Year? This is a very good mobile game.
Because it's fucking terrible on mobile. Unplayable.
If you have a controller, it's playable.
I've heard there's some problems with that actually syncing up, but I've never personally tried it, so I can't say. I'm sure. I mean, the control scheme is what would make it unplayable, especially when you got a wave dash.
Is there wave dash now?
Yeah.
Oh, with Mona?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
No, you don't Mona wave dash. That'd be ridiculous.
She's a water woman.
No, you wave dash with Hu Tao with her dash.
Oh.
Whenever anyone says Wave Dash, I just think of the Wavebird controller, and what a great controller that was.
Hey
and
guys,
how
I
cool
wonder
it
if there
felt.
is connection there, Jamie. That's a good point.
Hey guys, remember when they put wave dashing in that Nintendo or Nickelodeon fighting game and it ended up being really bad? Garfield's gonna wave dash.
Jeff,
He's coming.
you got a 1.
Okay, I got one ready at the hip. What the hell is with Kina Bridge of Spirits winning Indie Game of the Year? I'm mad about that. There's a lot of awards I'm disappointed in the Game Awards about, but that one
The
especially.
least interesting thing about the show is the awards, for sure.
Yeah, that one in particular, I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, this game had a budget of at least, like, probably, I don't know, $50 million, I have to imagine.
I told you guys yesterday, like, the devs said, like, we really want to thank Sony and Epic for, like, really helping us out, like, from before we started with all the money that they gave us.
Yeah, wasn't the studio known for its visual creations and
So, I
like
did... Yeah, go ahead.
No, please, if you got research.
Yeah, I did some research after the fact because I was like, this is some bullshit. So first of all, I think that Sony and Epic were the distributing partners. Obviously, Sony and Epic both gave them money, but I think they thanked them because it was on Sony stores and I guess maybe also on the Epic Game Store. I don't know. But regardless, so they were a studio called Ember Labs, and their history was in advertising, and they got noticed by publishers when they made a Majora fan film called Terrible Fate. Which is cool. But for this project, not only was it like 15 people in the internal studio, they also outsourced their graphics work to a studio in Vietnam. And I don't know what says independent better than international production. Multinational corporations developing a small independent game.
Was it the... Just to make sure, is the award was independent game, not like Game for Impact or anything like that?
No, it was an independent game.
Gotcha.
I know
Good,
because
nailed it.
there were like games that I think maybe there might have been a game or two in there that was made by one person, and I was just like, I don't know how you would feel if you slaved away on this one game and frickin', wannabe Pixar over here just stole your thunder with like 40 people. It just seems it seems in poor taste, but so many of those awards were, so.
Oh, for sure. Well, do you have any of the competition for the category off the top on the hip?
Off the dome? No, I don't have it, but I will look it up.
I'm trying to look it up here too.
Yeah.
Indie game, 12 Minutes, Death's Door, Kina, Inscription, Loop Hero.
Yeah,
so good list.
Yeah, solid list. I have not played Inscription, but I've heard good things. I don't know how big that team is, but I can't imagine they're that big. Their previous project was Pony Island. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it just seemed like a real slap in the face to indies everywhere for this huge game, which was clearly like a marquee title, even though it was priced at $40, but still, just kind of ridiculous. But indie means nothing these days anyway, in every genre, not just in video games, also in movies. So.
And music.
Good point.
And music, yep.
All right. Stop. Oh, another one. Jamie?
How about, what am I going to say here? Blah, blah, blah. I really liked the Elden Ring pot man. I really liked him. Yeah, pot friend. I liked how, whenever I feel like Keeley won't allow himself to chew the scenery because it's like hit with him, but I feel like for that one moment he's like, all right, let me just nibble on this a little bit. So
I'm so glad you brought that up, Jamie.
I thought that was genuinely funny, and I feel like the show needs more moments like that and less moments of we all take this really seriously.
I feel like the Game Awards, like my favorite thing about the Game Awards is when they just do like a really ill-advised sketch or like just something that just absolutely doesn't land. And as they've continued polishing it, there's less of that, and that makes me sad. Like, where was Kyle Bosman talking about the Schick Hydro bot, man?
Yeah. I mean, we went from Kyle Bosman being like heavily featured to there definitely being a laugh track over the entire show. Which is like, I don't know, it's just a long way from where it started, which is a shame in some ways, but I did enjoy that gag.
I was going to piggyback off your gag, Jamie, do you guys think that this is Jeff Keighley's like deal with the devil or monkey paw curse where he was like, I'll do anything to get the exclusives on Elden Ring, and they're like, and now you will have only Elden Ring exclusives forever. Also, like, here's another trailer for fucking Elden Ring. I don't know, whatever.
Also, I don't want to spoil future roles, but the thing that immediately followed that, which was the trailer, that was also a joke.
Yep, I agree.
After like a 25-minute gameplay demo, they're like, yo, what if we just showed you some concept art?
Yeah, what if we show you the intro to the game that, doesn't make any sense because that's how these games work?
Yep. Anti-hype.
Yeah.
Yeah. The audio mixing on it was fucking weird, too. So I was like, should I be understanding this or listening to any of this?
I will just confess that every time a cinematic trailer comes on now, I just don't even bother paying attention. Honestly, it's meaningless to me. It might as well be nothing.
Yeah. I used to be in the opposite camp, and I have come over to your way of thinking 100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just rolled a 3. Something I like.
The list is getting short.
Yeah, no, so I will say something that I liked was, and now you guys can hold your fart noises for just a second. I enjoyed the musical number. How'd that mute button work out for you? Whoever did that.
That was not me.
Okay.
My screen's all wet now.
Oh my god. I'll just skip my turn. Go ahead.
No. Go.
Yeah, go.
Musical numbers. They were good. Sting, flat performance, whatever. It was fine. But it was cool. I mean, it was cool having a big name on the stage. Same thing for Imagine Dragons. Fuck those guys. I don't give a shit. They sound terrible. But it was cool, again, that they're up there with Supergiant. And both showcasing songs from the Netflix show Arcane, which is a great little anime. I watched it all. Highly recommend it to you guys or anybody else. It's fabulous. And the music is pretty fucking good. So I liked that. I thought it was swell.
I love the Cuphead song. I really like
it. So fucking hard. Are you joking? Here's my fart noises.
Wait, you didn't like the Cuphead song?
No, it's trash.
They had those
fucking hate doo-wop.
Okay.
I
The
don't know.
20s can go die in a fire for that aesthetic. That and Victorian bullshit.
Well,
that was the worst.
I got a little bit of whiplash from all these opinions. No, I like the music too, Griff. I'm glad you brought that up. It was fun, and Jamie texted me and just said that flautist fucks because he had the best hair of all time.
Yeah.
Which,
we'll have to find a picture of him.
Okay.
It was the
Horizon song.
Yeah.
Oh,
with the woman going, hey, and there was a flautist.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
He had quite a look. No, it was very good. Lots of really cool stuff.
And I like how after the Horizon song, Jeff Keighley was like, and the singer, we just brought her over. This is her first time
in America.
In America. Congratulations on getting here. And she's like, okay.
She's like, I regret this.
She's like, I'm a COVID super spreader.
Jeff, I rolled you a 2.
2, okay. I feel like I had another complaint to lodge. Crap. You actually reminded me with your list. Thank you for doing that, Griff. When Simu Liu went on stage, that was...
Oh, God.
Talk about preserving the cringe.
Yeah, I was like, you guys, wait, you're not getting what you want from this? It's cringe.
That was really bad.
It was so bad.
So for those who did not watch the Game Awards, Simu Liu, star of Shang-Chi, went on stage holding a cell phone as if he was breathlessly perusing, I guess, images, I don't know, video clips of the new Halo Infinite campaign, while handing out the award, and it was the most cringe.
I was
of all
really,
time.
really, really, really hoping that his bit was going to be like, I'm playing this game on my phone. Don't disturb me. I'm a gamer. But then he pivoted to like, I'm watching YouTube dudes. And you're like, ugh, it would have been so much better if you were pretending to play Halo on your phone.
That would be even better if instead of playing Halo Infinite, he was playing the Halo Tactics game.
Oh, yeah. Or one of those Watchdog games that had the thing you could play on your phone.
Yeah. It was no, that was pretty rough, I will say.
That was real rough. Yeah. Do you think they were like, okay, Simu, here you go. Here's your script. And he's like, no, I got this. I'm a man of the people.
Best tie-in opportunity of all time. I feel like I'm sure Simu actually likes Halo. That bit was extremely
Why do you say that, Jeff?
ill-advised. Why do I think he actually likes Halo?
Uh-huh.
It just feels believable. I don't know.
I see.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I feel like if I were not a Halo fan and someone assigned me that bit, it would be even more of an insult to be like, "Oh man, I'm so excited about the new Hello,
The new Genshin.
The new Genshin.
the new Halal."
Starring Wonder Woman, yes.
Good one.
Wonder Woman, but she can't eat.
I wonder what she can. Jamie, I rolled a 4 for you.
Something I didn't like. Let's see. I found the whole. I mean, I've never played Beat Saber. I kind of want to, but that Beat Saber thing with Lady Gaga just seemed like so pandering. Like a lot of the stuff that. I feel like a lot of the stuff that when the companies lean into like alternative messaging and putting minorities and non-binary people into their ads, I feel like it ends up seeming so pandering recently. Like it just doesn't seem like they are able to do it in good faith. And
More
it's a
white
great
people
thing
in
that
ads. I hear what you're saying. I got you, Jamie. Yeah. It makes perfect.
It seems
Jamie
like
just
something
prefers a more pure advertising experience.
Exactly. Yeah. Bring the Game Awards like they used to be. I hear you.
exactly.
That's why we love
You
the
guys-
songs from the 20s so much.
You,
Do up.
you guys got me pegged. But no, and I don't know. Have you guys ever played Beat Saber?
I've watched it being
I
played.
have.
It looks
It's very
pretty fun.
good. You should play it. If you
Is
have
it on PSVR?
Yes. Yep.
Oh, I should dig
Get
that
your ice
thing
cream
out.
cones out. It's fun. It's really fun. More music, the better. There's a KDA song on it, which I highly recommend because I like that song.
KDA? Kill Death?
The League of Legends fake pop band.
Okay. My the friends I was watching with, they had watched Arcane and they're like, yeah, we think Riot just really wants to make music videos.
And they do a good job with it. They do.
Yeah.
Jamie, I feel what you're getting at there, and I think it's happening across a lot of media. And I think it's a good thing. I think it's really a good thing. It's just like it's very noticeable right now, and it feels pandering, but I think that it's just like kind of something we gotta, when I say get through, I mean like we have to get through it to become the reality that is consistent and not this reactionary action that these studios and media companies and fucking shithead, rich people on boards are saying, yeah, go ahead and fucking run with this crap until it subsides.
Hey, you know who I felt actually did a pretty good job with kind of casual representation? I don't remember the name of the game. But the game that had, I think she was a Latina lead or like Filipino lead, where she had to fight her exes, a la Scott Pilgrim.
Oh yeah, I remember that game. Yeah, that looked cool.
Yeah,
that looked really cool.
And it just casually included like some same gender relationships.
Was that this show or was this just a game this year?
No, that was this show. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what other game which did win for like inclusivity in terms of disability stuff is Forza. Forza does a wonderful job with like including that stuff in like a kind of more heartfelt, genuine way and a more organic way throughout the game. And in addition to being just an incredible game, Horizon 5 has a lot of that spread throughout it. Like, just when you're choosing your avatar, you can have them have like a prosthesis. There's a lot of cool stuff in that. And
Awesome.
there's a lot of variety in terms of characters throughout the game that have lines and that are actually like portrayed on screen, like men, women, like all sorts of different people. I think that game does it really well.
Good, and they won the award too, right? Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. So that's good to hear.
I was going to say, I knew it had to be something Microsoft because they've been making such a strong push for accessibility specifically. Like, that's clearly an initiative that they have been trying to expand on across their entire lineup of products and services. So, yeah, that
good
was
call.
cool.
With their controller piece. Yep.
Yeah, I'll have to look up the name of that X's game. It may have been a pre-show announcement, but
Okay.
it looked really fun, and I think I totally get where you're coming from, Jamie, and I think it delivered really nicely on the kind of casual representation that we're all kind of hoping to see more of.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear when a game, values that type of inclusion because people on the dev team, that's where they're coming from and that's who they are.
Yeah.
And it's clear when it's just not that at all. Like, the man introducing it is like a white Nordic guy, and then everything else is not that.
You know what was
But,
really missing in
yeah.
action at the Game Awards? 4-player split-screen multiplayer featuring talking heads of a diverse set.
Oh yeah. I'm pregnant and I'm gonna frag all the same.
All right. I rolled a 3. I have to talk about something I liked.
I'm sorry.
So yeah. So the list does narrow. Keanu Reeves and Carrie Ann Moss in their little video conversation with Jeff Keighley was cool. The more they're out there, the better. That's great. The weird Matrix trailer was weird.
Yep.
And then the Matrix Awakens piece that they launched is kind of cool. Actually, really fucking cool. If either of you guys download it and try it out.
Not yet, although
No.
I've heard good things, so I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, just prepare yourself. It's not a video game. It reminds me of like a demo scene type thing, but it's intense. So,
Okay.
like it's Unreal 5, and I guess it was a fairly small team, but it's like 10 minutes introduction with Keanu and Carrie, and they're kind of talking about the Matrix and what video games and reality and kind of the hopes of what the Matrix was. I don't know. It's very cool. The thing that I noted while I was playing it and watching certain parts of the Game Awards this year too is like, I don't know if I'm watching FMV or if I'm watching a game anymore, for better, for worse. You guys will probably, I'd be curious about your impressions as you take a look at this, if you do. But yeah, there's some scenes there where it's like, I don't know if this is old Keanu or CG Keanu or which version I'm getting, which is fucking sweet, right? And in terms of a technical side that's actually very cool is like it plops you down into this gigantic city that has like toggle switches to say like, okay, show me the AI traffic that's running, and you can toggle it on and off. You can quickly toggle like the night and day cycle by time. You can toggle traffic density, crowd density. So all these like dev features, or you can show like the the material that the world is made out of in different views, so it'll like strip away the visual to show like, oh, this is concrete, this is so therefore sound and texture will be different.
What
so on
system
and
did
so
you
forth.
check it out on, Griff?
PlayStation 5.
Did you play? Okay, gotcha. Cool.
Yep.
I
Yeah,
would definitely
it's
check it
it's
out.
neat. It's neat. But yeah, it's definitely not a a game or anything like that. It's just kind of a tech demo. But if this is what Unreal 5 can do, and like generate a world that looks fucking insane quickly and easily, from what I understand, that's what kind of this whole experiment was. Then to take the load off of the development side of things, so you can focus on other pieces and divert resources to other things, like not just the raw crunching through assets, or having to work on the the AI pieces that we don't really care too much about. That I shouldn't say that don't get brought to the forefront. That's awesome. That's a big victory for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. Griff, it's very weird to me to hear you extolling the virtues of like engines and technology.
I'm a different man.
Yeah, like I'm very confused right now.
Yeah, man. Yeah, different.
Now the art style is the thing.
That's right. Hey, I'm trying to buy a graphics card. Who am I?
I thought you were going to talk about the Sonic trailer. Am I up next?
Sonic movie. Yeah.
Should you roll me a 3 so I can talk
You
about
got
the
it.
Sonic
Let
trailer?
me. I got you a 2. So yeah.
Well, you
enough.
know what? It's a joke. It's funny.
You can dunk on it.
Hey, I know it looks extremely goofy, but in a fun way. I love how they are inexorably trying to like curve the beam of light, like refract the light towards the lore of Sonic by like giving Jim Carrey a ridiculous mustache, putting him in his iconic robotic vehicle, and putting Chaos Emeralds in the movie. It looks goofy AF, but in a fun way. Yeah. Also, I really hope Obama's in it to chuckle about the Chaos Emeralds. Also, I don't know if I sent this to you guys, but there was an interview where someone asked if Idris Elba was going to try to be sexy as Knuckles.
Yeah,
and he was
that
like,
was a while ago
he
when
was
it was announced.
No, I'm not.
Well, he doesn't have a choice. He will be.
Yeah, it's true.
Exactly.
That's just him.
I mean,
yeah.
Every character in Sonic is sexy, though.
That's true.
Right, guys?
Yeah.
No, it was fun. I was a little bit ornery. I was like, okay.
What do you think of Jim Carrey's performance on screen?
I still don't know what that's about. I don't know what that's about.
That was a good cringe moment. What was it? Don't grate your fingers or something?
In the grinder. Don't grate it in the grinder. Or don't grate it in the grinder. Do you think that Jeff Keighley was like, okay, I'm going to go on Cameo and order me a Jim Carrey spot for 15 seconds?
That was another really good
Most
cringe
likely.
moment. I forgot about that.
Oh, it was so good. Ben Schwartz was fantastic, too, announcing the clip and, self-dunking on Sonic's teeth and shit.
Yeah.
I thought that was, I
That
liked
was
it.
fun.
I thought it was fun.
Yeah, don't grate it in the grinder. What? Why did he say that so many times?
The best part, though, was after he was done, was Ben Schwartz saying, I think we all needed to hear that. That was good.
Ben Schwartz's comedic timing was fantastic. The DVD gag was great, too.
He probably was like just absolutely sighing on the inside. He's like, oh, this freaking guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Jamie,
that was fun.
I'll roll for
What'd
you
I get?
here. A twosies.
A joke
Dunk
thing.
away. Yeah.
A joke.
Jokes, dunks.
Oh, my God. I'm like, there was a lot that I liked.
You're like, it was all so sincere.
Something that I liked, but that was I do want to definitely dunk on was the Space Marine 2 trailer, which I'm so ready to play. Like I want to play that very badly. I even went on the Games Workshop website because I'm like, how much does a 6-pack of little boys cost these days? Oh, it's $60. Oh, never mind.
Right, you're like, wait a second, they're not pewter anymore, so the material cost should be extremely low. Oh wait, it was never that in the first place.
What kind of baffles me about in general, just the Games Workshop Warhammer marketing these days is that I guess all you need is to give people the most generic version of the thing, and that's all. Like at least the Vermintide 2 trailer had like an interesting, or the Warrior Priest trailer rather, had kind of like an interesting hook to it. But the Space Marine 2 trailer was like, do you guys like Space Marine TM? Here he is. He's back. And
My favorite part of that trailer was at the very end when he removed his helmet and then revealed his generic-ass blonde guy face. And I was like, is this supposed to mean something?
with bullets in his head.
like, I already knew this was Space Marine, but now I'm confused.
It's just odd to me that something that kind of set the tone for a lot of the stuff literally 30, 40 years ago is still in the space doing the exact same thing, not really putting a different spin on it, and yet still doing it well enough that I'm intrigued. And also clearly they're being successful and Warhammer is everywhere. It's just odd to me.
Yeah.
So the thing I didn't know is, I guess the guy who is part of the head of the studio or whatever, or that peeled off, I don't know, whatever, has some connection to Doom. So I think there's folks who are saying that this could be a taken the Warhammer and maybe a different, more interesting gameplay perspective. And I guess Space Marine was a well-regarded game too in terms of just gameplay. But also, I'm with you too, Jamie. Like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah.
Also,
like,
they
you have
brought the
more to
most
play
generic person on stage. It was like, and we're proud to have Chud Thudchugger on stage with us. And he's like, I'm sorry, sir. Is this your first time with a mic?
Well, if you're familiar with my work, then you'd know I'm not afraid of leaning in.
Was it Judd Thugchugger who was familiar with my work, guy?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I go deep.
If you're familiar with the various allegations brought against me by my employees.
I'm going method. I'm going to space on this one.
Oh, I just thought of the best joke of all. I'll wait till I get to my round.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll speed things along by coming up with a joke of my own. Or a dunk, or a take, or what have you. Let's see here. Pick a good one, Griffey.
It's all riding on this.
Yeah. Oh, Benicio.
Guillermo.
Guillermo del Toro is just saying the word Silent Hill
Yeah.
moistened, I'm sure, half the population of onlookers.
I kind of
Fuck
don't
that.
understand why it did, though. Because, like, do these people all really like Silent Hill? Do they?
I don't know.
I don't think they
But
do.
Well, that's why I wanted to bring this up, because it's like, okay, Del Toro was supposed to make his own, like, horror fantasy game, right? And now he's talking about another game and like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if we had Silent Hill? Yes, okay, but you know, what if we didn't? Also, then there was also that bit with Keeley talking about like, from the original mind behind Silent Hill, here comes another piece of shit horror game that you. It was like, how many times is there a quota that you have to say Silent Hill so many times during this show?
The only time I ever hear Silent Hill talked about these days is in the retro community when people talk about dithering. It's all about the dithering. Like, if you look at the dithering on the original PlayStation, it was actually quite innovative, but that's the only time I hear people talk about it. No one is excited about it.
Silent Hill's
Mr.
cool.
Dither.
Silent Hill is cool, but I'm not sure that what Kojima was doing was really continuing 100% the spirit of Silent Hill. That's a very unique franchise that really, it's had its moment. Mm-hmm. But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm with you. That was a weird moment.
Hey, I'm just gonna knock that out too. Speaking of, ill-advised Silent Hill next steps, Splitterhead, which was also, from what's his name, head of the original designer of Silent Hill, looked like the fucking most uninteresting video game. When I was watching the trailer, I was like, oh my god, what did they do to Ghostwire Tokyo? No! All right, go ahead, Jeff.
Now leave it how it is. Sorry.
I'm gonna tip the die in your favor here. Oops, you
Okay.
got a 1.
I feel like this could put a cap on our segment because we've been going on this for a bit.
Sure.
But the biggest joke of all was Jeff Keighley's response to allegations of horrific abuses at Activision.
Yeah.
If you're being abused, send a letter with a stamp to this address.
Well, no, he was like, you may have read the headlines.
Online harassment.
He's like, let me get ahead of all those headlines you read and just say that we don't like abuse. And I was like, all right, okay, yep, we don't like abuse. And then he's like, especially online abuse.
Oh, record
It's like,
scratch.
wait, what? And then he's like, if you're trying to stop online bullying, which is what everyone's mad about, right? Go to this website.
Yeah.
It was definitely pretty pathetic.
It was weird.
Yeah.
It was an ill taste. I mean, somebody made it. I was listening to a podcast and they made a good point in which, what would we have wanted?
Yeah.
I think we can really clearly say, yes, we would love it for him to take the stage and just be like, fuck you, Activision. But then also, that then should lead, I mean, the want is then to be able to say, like, fuck you, every major game company. And you know what? Everybody here needs to hear this. They all suck. Everybody needs to have a voice, because it's like everybody is having allegations and everybody's doing dumb shit.
Yeah.
It's not just Activision. But yeah, I think that, there's no good answer.
Yeah, I mean, when your advisory panel is made up of a bunch of studios
Dude bros.
where they all are guilty of the same things that lead to this sort of harassment, which is, taking advantage of labor, high turnover, contract work, all this stuff, crunch, these are all issues that are endemic to the industry. So anything celebrating the industry is probably not going to be taking them on in a meaningful way if it's made up of industry types.
Yep.
Yeah, so it wasn't surprising, but it still sucked. Also, real quick bookend, It Takes Two should not have won.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's just lightning round through this stuff, because I got a couple of things I want to touch on.
Yeah, that was just an excuse to get Joseph Fares back up to say fuck the Oscars again.
Yep.
Agree. Yep. Good job, Keeley. You win again. I remember my thing from earlier when Deathloop won Best Art Direction. The individual who accepted the reward thanked Sony and Microsoft, which I thought was very odd since it's a Sony exclusive game. So
Microsoft owns them now, I guess. So
yeah, exactly. Interesting though, because didn't that merger happen before everything? I don't know. I thought it was interesting, but yeah good call, Jeff. Anything else quick here?
No Nintendo stuff, which made me sad.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm with you there.
You old Dougie up, took the stage.
He did, and I felt a little mad at first, but at least he was like, yeah, the team couldn't be here, and this is the message they've prepared. I thought it was going to be Nintendo just taking credit for the studio's work, and I was going to be mad. But it was not.
Speaking of people who are becoming the games they are, Donald Mustard becoming more and more a Fortnite character every fucking year.
Wait, who Donald Mustard?
Donald Mustard's Epic Games Studio. He used to be like a very nice man that made a video game called something or another, that Orson Scott Card thing that was a good Metroid game, and now he's just...
Shadow Complex?
Yes, thank you. Now he looks ridiculous.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
There do be fish heads in Fortnite.
He slowly looks like he's becoming a fish head man.
Reggie saying Final Fantasy instead of Final Fantasy 14 was funny to me.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
The series.
I really hoped he would say Genshin Impact. I had my fingers crossed.
Did you guys, so probably not on your radar at all, but did Suicide Squad do anything for you guys?
It looked fun. If it's a co-op game, I don't care.
Yeah, I was like, what is this game anymore?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still more excited about the next spiritual successor for the Rocksteady Batman stuff compared to that Suicide Squad thing.
Wait,
is that still happening?
The new one?
Be the spiritual successor.
The Arkham Knights?
Yeah, when is that happening?
I don't know. That's a 2-player, I think, game, right?
Wait, is that a Rocksteady though?
It's not Rocksteady, but it's like more of a. Okay. At least to me, it looked like more of a spiritual successor to the original Rocksteady ones. Right. But
because this is Rocksteady doing Suicide Squad.
Yeah, exactly.
I liked the Flash being a d-bag. It was fun.
Yeah,
like that thing about that. Next time, mail that bowl to me. That was funny.
Yeah, it was a good one.
I liked it. It was cute.
Yeah, it was fine. It was fine. Good to see. DC's got nothing to lose at this point. I'll tell you what.
Speaking of terrible sketches, when Amanda Waller came out,
oh God, that would look like they even surprised Jeff Keighley. He was like, oh boy, where's my pod friend?
There were a couple like just giant bombs, like a couple devs who clearly had never been in front of a camera before, who were like could not speak, like they forgot
Simon
words.
Vickland, I had noted here, was really uncomfortable to watch with GTFO
because nobody cares.
Right.
GTFO the stage, dog.
Oh, got him.
Can we just like collectively as a society move beyond Payday? I guess not, because GTA Online is still like one of the hottest properties of all time.
Oh, really?
I mean, it's still doing great. They just put out a new scenario with Dr. Dre.
Huh. Okay.
Yep.
I just liked Simon from his Bionic Commando Rearm music. I actually had no idea that he went on to make a video game that was extremely popular.
Yeah. He was involved with Payday, I think, right? Wasn't that his studio?
Yes.
Yeah. I can't remember what they're called right now.
The
new one is Temp Chambers, but yeah. Okay, go ahead.
You ready to play the old Sonic Breath of the Wild, Breath of Sonic?
That
Breath
looked
of
really
the,
cool to
the
me.
Warthog?
I actually got more
Warthog?
of a just like Dreamcast Sonic Adventure vibe, but like in the new era. But it would be equally cool if it was Breath of the Wild-esque. I'm excited either way.
I like the
Open
idea.
zone is what they say about it.
I like the idea of like not ponderous. What's the word I'm looking for? Contemplative piano music playing while Sonic is just like, speed's the game. Chili's my game.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm looking forward to the Estus flask just being a liquid container of chili dog.
I just like the idea of like a very minimalist score, and then Sonic just constantly yapping away. Like, take that, Robotnik. I don't think it's going to be good because Sonic Team is incapable of making good games. I'm just mad. Where is Sonic Mania 2? It's time.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking when I was watching that.
It's gonna take another 20 years.
I think they're just mad that that they made a good game, honestly. I think they're angry that Christian Whitehead did a better Sonic game than Sonic Team has done in like 20 years.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. So I think that's why they're not giving it to him.
Well, we all know that the real sequel to Sonic is Balan Wonderworld, and that's a great game.
I've not played. Wait, is
Speaking
that
of hot trash,
That's the
new
one
Star Wars game, guys,
Oh, that looked real bad.
by Quantic Dream. Speaking of harassment, hey, it's all here.
I can't believe that game is still going ahead. I feel like Quantic Dream has had chance after chance. Talk about failing up. Like, how do these games do well?
Yeah.
I just don't understand it.
Boggles the
Did
mind.
either of you play Detroit?
I watched a playthrough of Detroit.
So you
No.
basically played Detroit, all right.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was an interesting game. I mean, it was graphically fantastic and really powerful in that regard. But yeah, again, I mean, it's like, what are we doing here, David?
Maybe now they're just doing art and graphics, and all the story is being handled by someone else. That would actually make it good if David
By
Cage,
Lucas?
Yeah, if David. Well, maybe not good, but if David Cage were not the creative lead, that could be something. Mm-hmm. But that's not going to happen.
Definitely not.
Press R1 to Jar Jar. Is that what we're looking for? Jar Jar.
Misa's so happy. Misa's so happy. When Jar Jar's child is murdered.
I thought that the Saints Row trailer looked really great. I'm excited. I'm back on board to play more Saints Row because it looked like more Saints Row and was not trying to take itself too serious. So I was happy to see that.
Oh, good. I missed that, so I'm glad to hear that.
I saw that trailer and it didn't do anything for me, but I never played the franchise, so.
Yeah, yeah, so it makes sense. I mean, the fact that it's a return to form, I think, is good for me and probably not good for anybody else. What do you guys think about the game that shall not be, Tina's Wonder thing?
Oh, I don't
Tiny
care.
Tina's. This time it's not racist. Gearbox production.
I'm over anything Randy Pitchford's name is attached to. I'm kind of not interested in.
Yeah,
to be honest.
same.
Yeah, I watched that trailer and I thought this one might maybe this game is actually good. I don't know. So I'm kind of in a neutral
I love
territory
Ashley
now.
Birch.
Agreed. And Will
yeah.
Arnett. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also a Borderlands game, so who knows? I don't know. It looks weird enough that it from previously being like a hot, pile of trash that I can completely move beyond to be okay. It's back on my radar as something that maybe this game is actually going to do weird things that are like the kind of things I like in games where it subverts, its own series. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see. I mean, yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, my cat.
You don't have to be on board with me. It's okay.
No, my cat is over here causing trouble in the recording, which we'll have to address afterwards. He's done a bad thing, but it's okay.
You press the mute button.
He did more than that, but we have a backup. It's all good.
Okay.
Pulling back the curtain a little bit here, guys.
Jeff just wants that backup to be published so bad.
I do. That's where all the uncut content is.
Yes. Okay, so I don't know if you guys have anything more you want to talk about. I could go through more lists of stuff on here that I thought was interesting, but there's nothing that's really highlighting.
I'm sure you guys are hyped for the new Alan Wake.
I am.
I am.
Yeah, 100%. I thought that trailer was like the perfect length. Like, just give me the theme of it, tell me what it is, tell me it's survival horror, and I'm on board. I really hope that the, oh my God, what's her name? I really hope that the
Girl from
control
Control.
characters.
Ashley Birch.
Yeah, I really hope that Ashley Birch is in it. I really hope that the girl from Control is in it, and
Jesse.
I'm down. Jesse Fatum.
Yeah, I hope there's crossover, as alluded to.
I also just want more Control. Oh my God,
Yeah,
both those
that's
Control
true.
DLCs were so freaking good.
I feel like Remedy is a studio that I don't know how they've managed to survive, but good on them for doing it.
Control's a wonderful game. I think
It
it's
sure
like
is one of my favorites.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was kind of slept on when it came out. Like I feel like every game they make is a sleeper.
Really? I thought it did quite well.
Maybe it did. I don't
Control.
know. I thought it sold pretty poorly out the gate, but maybe I'm wrong.
I think you're both correct. I think if I remember correctly, it did sell poorly out the gate and it gained steam, and then people were mad because they were reselling it on the new consoles, but
Yeah,
with the high
yep.
price. But I think people
Yeah.
got over that, and I think it's kind of consistently sold, so it's good.
I think it has done well for a Remedy game, which is to Jeff's point of like they've always kind of had tepid, showings, but
Yeah.
cult classics.
Yeah, like well reviewed, consistent 8 out of 10 caliber games that for some people really scratch a special itch, but just never seem to capture the kind of market share you would expect.
Just incredible sound design. Like whenever I think about Control, there are these segments in Control where you traverse this kind of metaphysical motel, and there are light switches that you pull, like pull lights, and when you pull them, it just makes this incredible sound that's kind of ominous and all-encompassing, and I love that game. Sorry. I'll stop there. I'll stop gushing.
No, that's interesting. I've now that I've got a fancy new TV and a PlayStation 5, I was like, I should maybe try and play some more things that are gonna be graphically more interesting. So I was like, maybe I go back and play Deathloop because I own that game and it's a next gen game. But again, I don't know if that's gonna really show off the system. So maybe
It's pretty.
Control is the thing to do with it, and check out Control.
Deathloop on your TV, which is I also have an older version of that TV, looks really good. So that's
Okay.
a good inclination that you had.
Should we talk about Deathloop?
Yeah, why don't you guys talk about that?
I still haven't played very much, but I really want to. But you tell me why I should play it.
Well, you should play more of it.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
No, I don't know. I can tell you my thoughts on Deathloop. I don't know if it means then either of you need to play it or play more of it. I can tell you that I feel like I'm in a unique minority of people who don't like the games in the Dishonored universe, nor the sim. What is that called? What's the term?
Immersive sim.
Immersive sim. Thank you. I don't care for that kind of a game very much. So this Deathloop really speaks to me because it puts training wheels on the immersive sim by giving you the immersive sim experience, and the Dishonored kind of like here, or even Hitman I think is a good example, the modern Hitmans, where you're given the clockwork world to engage in, and so many of your actions have implications that then affect different AI components that then influence your individual story on how you solve the puzzle. In Deathloop, everything is a lot more on rails, and there's a lot more guidance. The game itself is segmented out, and the loop of it provides you the opportunity to go back and learn and explore, but then still within those like very clearly hand-holding parameters of, okay, now go do this, instead of, here's the fishmonger wharf thing, go kill the bad man who hates women or something. So I love it. I love Deathloop. I enjoyed that game significantly more than I was expecting going in. I thought it was going to be just, yet another shooter that I didn't really jive with, and yet another, game from what's the
Arcane.
Is it Arcane? I was going to say, there's too many Arcanes this year. But yeah, lore-wise, I enjoyed it quite a bit too. It didn't. It seemed up its own ass in a way that I liked. Kind of like with Lost, where it's getting into that like 60s 70s vibe of future tech and silly kind of go nonsense. At the same time, it doesn't do the Lost thing and try and answer all those questions, so a lot of things are left open-ended and up to your interpretation, and it's just like, well, that's how it is because that's how it is. So I enjoyed that side of it too. I think the story is getting dunked on quite a bit, especially in the back half, for all the twists. And yeah, I get it. I still thought it was very good all together. Gameplay wise, it's a shooter, so easy, kind of turn the brain off. But with there being the puzzle elements in it too, it does encourage stealth and some different ways to traversal using the different abilities that you get in the game. I think that I enjoyed it because you can not do stealth and not be punished for it.
That's good.
I think that Arcane games so frequently put me off because of their emphasis on non-lethality and stealth, and that is actually not a fun way to play. So they did a good job by making this more palatable.
I'm exactly the opposite. I'm like, oh man, this game looks like it takes out all the things I like about Arcane games.
Oh, really?
Well, as
Okay.
someone who played the beginning of the game and who really does love Dishonored and Prey and all Arcane stuff, this is one of those. It's there. I think they've changed it and tweaked it in ways that kind of can bring Griffin in, but they're not tossing the formula out the window. I felt that right away. And I didn't have a good reason for not continuing on with it. I think it was just other things, busy time, but I really do want to get back to it.
How far you are into it, Jamie? Like how much?
Like really
just
not.
because the hand holding does get to a point where I could see it turning Jeff off.
I think I'm still having my hand held.
It doesn't stop, I'll tell you that.
Okay.
Do you have any of the special powers, and have you looped multiple times?
I have special powers. I have looped.
Okay.
But I'm very, very early. I'm very early.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just say that it doesn't end. It continues down that path of when you're like, the tutorial will be over soon, and then I'll have the freedom. It's like, oh, no.
Yeah, I've heard, and this is a very minor spoiler in terms of game design, but not any plot elements. I've heard that it does culminate in a critical path, which is only one way, which does not feel very Arcane to me.
I guess I always felt that.
I don't know if I would put it. I mean, yeah, it's.
At the end of the day, like Dishonored 2, which is a really wonderful game, I mean, you're going through the levels have like 2 or 3 ways through them. It's not like there's an infinite, there are infinite ways to get through it. So I guess that part of it doesn't turn me off necessarily, but I'd be very curious to see how it compares to those previous games.
Mm-hmm.
I think, Jamie, the reason why I like it so much is because you're not wrong. Like, I like Deus Ex games, which have that immersive sim quality of you can take multiple routes, but I like this game because it differs from the Arcane structure in that it gives you the sight lines. It's like not literally, but it puts you down the paths, and it encourages through its design more of seeing those routes that you take and playing those ways, and encourages you through the design of the game and the loop itself to go and re-explore things and tackle things differently. And also, like I said, doesn't punish you if you do break stealth and you need to, there's no need to save scum because I think that save scum, if you have to do that, is a bad game design, and I think that multiple endings is also bad game design at this point. We need to get beyond those two things.
That's a bold claim to make there. What if I like both of those things quite a bit?
Play a different game.
I did too.
Okay.
No, I get it. But I mean, my point with they're two very different points. The save scum, I think, is what are you getting out of the. For me, it's if I am having to repeat actions in a game to get this quote unquote perfect scenario, that detracts from the experience of the game for me, because to me it's execution versus I can see the end result of what I want to do, right? To me, it's like a fighting game. Like, I can see that I want to do these combos and I want to do this and I can read this and this is what I want to do. It's just the fact that I can't execute on it because I keep messing up the buttons, or some carrot or cheese wheel falls out of a house just due to fucking stupid AI things and it ruins my whole path. Or, if somebody sees me around a corner, now I have to redo it. But why?
Yeah.
Because if I alert the guards, then I kill somebody and I get the bad ending.
Well,
what's
the game called? Dishonored's credit, you can kill people and still get the good ending. but yes, I mean it's you're right, Griff. It is annoying in that like one little thing, and I think everyone's threshold for how much execution they're required, is different. But yeah,
Sure.
it's an age old tension for sure. I get where you're coming from. But
Sure.
I like reloading my save.
I'm on an economy of time at this point, and when I'm like, I don't want to repeat this over and over again because I'm trying to achieve some goal that I just can't get because the game is confounding me. That's not enjoyable anymore.
Yeah.
So you love Animal Crossing?
No, I do not.
Yeah, that game is so against safe scumming that if you do it, a mole yells at you.
Is he bad?
No, he's not. They don't do that anymore, unfortunately.
But yeah, Deathloop's great. It's one of my favorite games I played this year. I don't know if either of you guys will have a reason to pick it up and keep playing it with all the other stuff that's out there.
I just feel like Dishonored is more the setting and tone that I prefer,
Sure.
and I like the non-lethal approaches.
Dude, the setting in Deathloop though is like, I mean, I'm all for it. It's like super good.
We'll
you
see.
should give it a shake. I'll play more. I'll report back. I'll tell you yay or nay in terms of prior Arcane love, and then you can take it from there.
I am curious with the setting and the lore. I am of the understanding that the Dishonored series has like some pretty cool lore with the shadow figure guy and all that stuff. But is it like you do enjoy the faux Victorian steampunk stuff?
Yeah, I think it makes for some interesting art.
Okay.
I kind of like. I don't really care about the lore so much as I care about like going into a house and seeing like the trappings of that house and like that environmental storytelling is pretty fun.
And they really play with it. Like in Dishonored 2, the best level is the Clockwork Mansion level, and the setting really enables that level to be what it is.
I told you I played through that level without ever setting off the mansion, right?
Yes, which is just bonkers to me. So cool that you can.
So there's
even
a person
do that.
in that world that really enjoys trap mansions.
Yes.
His name is
Okay.
Gollum.
Gotcha. Sir Gollum.
He's an inventor. He has a mansion that it's modular. It like transforms.
Like an
Yeah.
RV.
Like a what?
Like an RV.
Like an RV. Yeah. He has an RV. He has a mobile home.
Like the Pontiac Aztec.
Guys, I'll knock one other one out here real quickly. Speaking of games that I don't like because of confounding issues while playing them, I started playing Solar Ash and am really struggling to the point of I'm ready to walk away from it. I got to the first creature, the first gigantic Rayquaza beast, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. I don't know if I need to watch a video, if I missed a tooltip or something, but I thought at first while I was playing the game Solar Ash that it felt a little wiggly, a little mushy in its traversal and with the speed that you're going. It's not toy like Sonic. It just feels like I'm all over the place, and then unless I'm missing something, whatever it's expecting me to do on the back of this creature and hitting these markers, I just cannot do it. I could beat my head against it over and over again, continue to do this, but this is like the first one, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. So I'm really frustrated with it to the point of like, I don't have time for this anymore.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Because I loved Hyper Light Drifter once I finally got around to beating it. That's a really good game. And
Yeah, and I that's part of the reason why I came to this. The pedigree, what's it? Acid something. Acid Heart. They're
Heart Machine.
having done
Heart Machine.
Okay, thank you. Doing Hyper Light Drifter. The art style looks very cool. It looks very pretty. Like, you know, it has a vibe. But I don't know. Just playing it, I'm not enjoying any part of it.
I've read some reviews which sort of echo that the flow state can be fun, but anything that interrupts it is really jarring. And
I'm not even getting to a flow state. Like I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, my cat's pressing buttons on my keyboard too. Cool.
Yeah. That's unfortunately we'll talk about that after the podcast. Anyway, I'm disappointed to hear that, Griff, although not entirely surprised based on what I was reading in terms of reactions. But
yeah, have either of you guys touched it?
no, did you get it for free in some way or another, or did you have to pay human money for it?
I bought it. It's like
Okay.
$15 or something.
Okay.
I don't know.
I just was curious if I could experience it in a kind of a demo type form.
Nah, it definitely has the feel of Games Pass type of
Right?
thing.
Yeah. I
Um,
was hoping.
yeah, we might get there, but I don't know. If either of you guys do pick it up, let me know, because
Okay.
I'm just curious if I'm doing something wrong.
I
If it's
might
a
at
me
some
problem.
point. I mean, I
Which
love
it definitely
Gravity
could be.
Rush. I love, Sonic, which is also all about flow state and feels terrible if you stop moving.
Jeff, the
So-
name of the Scott Pilgrim like with the genuine inclusion is called Thirsty Suitors.
That's right.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it looks really fun.
Yeah.
A lot of character, a lot of weird mini games.
Gotcha. I just wanted to throw it in there.
Totally fine. I appreciate
Good.
it.
Yeah. No, that's good. It's good timing too, because that's all I really wanted to say about Solar Ash. So
Okay.
I'm struggling.
Good
Not
to know.
liking it.
How you liking Death's Door, Griff?
I finished it.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was a nice little game. I think it does. There's a ton of quality of life things in it. I watched Elden Ring trailer and I'm like, I don't know. Speaking of the kind of whole vibe that I've been giving off with this conversation on the games I've been playing and my feelings towards them, I don't know if I'm ready to play a game that's going to be punishing to the point of like repetition and frustration, because that sure happened in Death's Door. And that's obviously the point of it, right? It is, input demanding and it's boss, big boss fights that require pattern recognition and execution and patience and reaction and learning patterns. And I think the bosses themselves were fine. And I enjoyed the little bit of hurdle that I hit and then would surmount and so on and so forth as the game would progress. And Death's Door is fantastic in that it's, about 10, maybe 15 hours if you're trying to do a lot more or struggling. But yeah, it's just a really nice kind of not Death Stranding, Bloodborne or oh my God. The other
Souls?
thing. Souls game that is like in a microcosm. So you don't have to go run and get your corpse when you die to get your souls back, to get your things. So that's sure handy. There's no stat. Well, the stat management is extremely high level to the point of I don't know if it actually did anything. I maxed out a couple stats and I'm like, this is still taking the same amount of hits to kill something. Cool.
All right.
So that's interesting, but aesthetically, it's fun with the crows and the creatures. The writing is, it's sparse, but it's impactful when it is there, and that it's funny and it's an interesting little concise world that you can engage in. I've heard people praise the music. I think it's mostly forgettable, but not in a bad way. It's just kind of in that like Metroidvania or Metroid way of it's just kind of on in the background. You're not really paying attention to it.
Mm.
But yeah, if you guys got the time and the cash, check it out. I think it's much more worthwhile than a couple of the other things that are on my list, and it would definitely be better than Kaya that I didn't
Kina?
play. I think it was a fantastic indie game,
Yeah.
made by basically two people too. So
Yeah. I feel like for me, I'm kind of, I have a couple of games that I've been thinking about picking up, and I haven't because honestly, and I won't spend too long talking about it because I think we've touched on it before, but I've been playing a ton of Dragon Quest XI and finishing that game, and it's just a lovely game, and we don't need to expound upon it further, but I'm thinking about either getting Death's Door or Unsighted next. And Jamie, you played Unsighted, did you not?
Yes, I did. It's free on Game Pass.
Oh,
Free.
snap. Okay,
Yep.
maybe
Yeah.
I will play it on there. I just love
It's-
playing games on Switch, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be probably pretty great on Switch, but it is free on Game Pass. That's a great game. I wish I had more time for that. I think you'll really like it.
Okay.
And but yeah, I played Death's Door. I played a little bit of Death's Door too, and I really really enjoyed that too. I think that you can't go wrong either way, really.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I will definitely look into one of those two, I think, after I finish Dragon Quest. But I just...
I think, Jeff, Death's Door is going to be, if you're looking for something to get through, Death's Door is going to be more attainable than Unsighted. I hear Unsighted is, I did like a How Long to Beat, and Unsighted is significantly more time and more material there. But
How Long to Beat, I thought it was like right on the money, but I looked it up for Dragon Quest. It says 30 to 40 hours. I'm over 100 hours in that game.
Yeah, that's not correct.
I have not
well, I
cleared
mean, that's
the main
like
campaign
critical
yet.
path, right?
I have
Isn't that
not
what their
cleared the
thing is?
main story yet.
Yeah, but you're probably jacking around, looking at boobs and stuff.
You know me, just getting my puff puffs. Jamie, do you remember the final puff puff
Not particularly.
where she throws you off a cliff?
Oh, I do recall. Yes. Wonderful. Love it.
Griff, I wish you liked RPGs because that is just the most charming, lovely game. And
Yes.
I've been talking to Jamie about it, and again, I don't want to spend too long on it because it's pretty old at this point. But some of the story beats that it hit in the second act are very surprisingly affecting.
Yeah.
Like not necessarily
Extremely touching.
Yeah, not necessarily bringing me to tears, but like making me really like affecting me emotionally, and also making me surprised that such a cutesy series would take such not risks, but would do such audacious things, for lack of a better word.
It's quite surprising, I think.
You're not the only friend who's telling me that Dragon Quest, is one a worthwhile series, but also 11 is good. So I mean,
11 is.
I think
very
I might
good.
own it.
You do own it. I remember 11 is very good, and I think it at least the original 11 and 11S especially have reached a point of like quality of life where like all the old timey stuff that still persists is charming, and all of the not charming old timey stuff is gone. I think. Like they have autosave everywhere. You can use your items from anywhere. You don't have to be on special places to use them. It's just real good.
Does it have respect for limited time and is brisk and efficient in its storytelling and gameplay?
No.
All right.
Yeah, I was going to say the characters speak pretty slowly for the most part.
And the pace of the story itself is extremely slow, but that's honestly part of the charm. And I
Yeah.
think that if you're ready for that and you're in the mood for that, I think it can actually be quite refreshing to, if you only have 30 minutes or an hour a day to play a game, it can actually be quite refreshing to use that 30 minutes or an hour in a game that's paced so kind of leisurely.
Yeah.
But if you're not in the mood for that and you want a quick hit and one thing then the other, it's definitely not gonna. It's not
I
gonna
getcha.
work.
I mean,
I
you,
get you.
you can skip the text, and I'll be honest, some of the voice acting I have skipped because there's a lot of it, and I was just like, all right, I can read.
Yeah.
I'm good. But yeah, it's a pretty slow game.
I get you. I get it. I think
but-
my meditation game is Genshin, so I don't. There's no void there that I need to fill. But that's good to know. I feel like I got one of those in me every year, so
Yeah.
we'll see how things shake out and
It's a
whatever
game-
next year is.
Yeah, it's a game that I played on PS4 around when it came out, and got to Act 2, which is like the midway-ish point of the game, and inexplicably left and then replayed on Switch and at the ending here, and man, it's just really good. It's been really a special experience. But anyway, enough about old games. How about that Metroid Dread? We all played that.
Yeah.
I really like Metroid Dread. I think I like Metroid Dread probably more than both of you.
No, I love Metro. I almost started playing it. Oh, I did start playing it again.
Ooh.
I
Okay.
NGP.
Okay.
Oh,
I
interesting.
I was absolutely taken with that game.
NFP?
NFT.
That NFP was the Amiibo before it was Amiibo, right?
You know it.
Okay, just checking. Yeah, Metroid Dread is really, really good, and I'm so excited about that game.
Fans of the genre will enjoy Metroid Dread.
Fans of the genre, I think it's a triumphant return. I was really afraid of what Mercury Steam might do because I don't really like their other works.
Did you play the other one, the Zero Mission remake?
You mean the Metroid 2 remake? Yes, I did.
Metroid 2, yes, thank you.
Really didn't like it.
Interesting.
Thought
Same.
It was pretty bad.
Huh.
I stopped playing that game after like an hour, and I had no faith in this game
So
at
they
all.
really did just cherry pick all the good mechanics out of that and bring them into this.
I think
that's
so.
Interesting.
I think 60 FPS matters for experiencing what they were envisioning. Because there was the melee counter that felt a little sluggish and kind of too punishing in Samus 2 or whatever it was called, or Return of Samus. But in this game, I think it's polished to a mere sheen. It feels well integrated. I also felt like there were a lot of ideas kind of meshing together in Return of Samus that weren't all... They just felt like they were pulling from different places. Like, I thought the Aeon powers weren't very well integrated in Metroid 2, but in this game, they're much better. I think, it was just them taking a bunch of ideas that they kind of introed in this 3DS project and making them really good.
So you guys have already answered one question I was going to ask you, which is, what was the last Metroid game you played? So it was AM2R official by Nintendo?
I don't think you're supposed to call it that. Yeah, it was Samus Returns. Yeah,
Okay.
I played that. Yeah.
It was okay. So you guys are following that series pretty closely, and because when I asked, because I think the last Metroid game that I actually put my hands on was Fusion, as through Ambassadors.
Yeah,
so
Fusion's a lovely game. I love Fusion. And this, in some ways, it continues elements of Fusion in that it uses some pretty linear pathing, I would say, I guess, for kind of the first, let's say, 2/3 of the story. You're kind of on rails, or you think you are anyway. I don't know if you guys had that experience, though. I
did not.
Yeah, this is where we may diverge, but...
I did. I felt like I felt like there was an absolute direction that I needed to go that I could oftentimes not find. I know exactly what happened to me, and I don't know if I talked to you guys about it, but I would get deviated from the next steps frequently.
Yeah, it's so interesting because for me, I felt like I always knew where I was supposed to go, and sometimes I would go that way, and then I would try to turn around and be like, well, hold on, before I really commit to this path, which I know is the critical path, let me check some other stuff out. And then the game is like, nope, a piece of dirt fell behind you. Sorry. You can't do that. And it happened so much that what would happen is I would play a segment, complete it, and then identify the next stage of the critical path and like rail against it and try to go every place but the critical path, just to extract whatever goodness in terms of like non-linear exploration I could out of the game, because I knew that whenever I chose a path, I'd be locked into it.
It was fascinating hearing you talk about that and watching that Boss Key video about this particular thing, because I feel like for people who are extremely familiar with these games, who play lots of Metroidvanias, who play lots of Metroid specifically, I think it probably did feel that way. But for me, I'm not the type of person where I just automatically, immediately identify the one hidden block that you have to destroy to keep going. So when you're not that type of person and you're constantly looking for that secret block, it really makes the game feel more mysterious and labyrinthine than maybe it is. But I can easily see for a smart person, it's like it could easily not feel that way.
I think it's just people with experience in the genre, maybe, because I don't think I'm like some genius of these games.
I'm with you, Jamie, and I was frustrated because I feel like I have that, Batman detective vision in other games that I can turn on in my brain, and especially in FPS games. I can find that critical path that I can run down and go tackle, but in this I was kind of lacking it. But to then bring back to how I identified what was causing my issues, where I would get lost and frustrated and unable to pick up the thread of where the next beats were. And it was because I would finish a boss fight or collect an upgrade or something, and I would be playing pretty late into the evening, and then I would shut the system off and walk away for like several days, or I would get that upgrade and, just like Jeff was saying, do that thing where you're like, aha, well, if I go through the next door, then I'm going to be locked out. So now is the time to go run back and try and collect all these things that I know I can go get now that I have this upgrade. And then I would do that for a little bit and then walk away and then turn back and be like,
forget
fuck,
where you
now
were.
where was I supposed to be?
Yeah.
And that was Jamie, when you and I were talking more about our getting lost kind of in similar sections, that's where I was just becoming I was being very self-aware of my actions as a game player, and like, oh, I should just move forward instead of trying to do backtracking.
Because the solution in that game is always just keep going. Every time it's just keep going until the very end of the game, and it's like, maybe go somewhere else.
Well, the game is never.
It's easy if you remember exactly where you were before.
Yeah. It definitely wants you to stay with it, and it's a hefty game. It's the first game, and I know speedrunners are beating it in sub 2 hours, but it's the first game where 100% sub 2 hours, if you're a human being who doesn't speedrun, is impossible. There's no way that you could ever do that. It's a beefy boy.
It's a beefy boy. What I found very frustrating is that oftentimes you are confined, you're trying to find the next way forward, and you're confined to what amounts to a very small run of hallways, but it's split between two areas. And so what I would end up doing is constantly either warping or taking the tram back and forth between two areas. And when I would completely exhaust one, I'd think, okay, well, there's got to be something in the other. So I'd go back, and it just ended up me going back and forth.
Dim load times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you're right, the answer was always, and in my mind, it was always like, well, maybe if I don't have the super jump yet, but maybe if I get up against this wall and do this weird thing, and the game is never asking you to do that.
Right.
No.
Except the one time that it does. So you bring me to the thought of one of my frustration points was
I know what you're talking about.
Exploration at certain points where it's the save system, right? You save in a location. For the most part, there's not a whole lot of consequence, right? You're just dumping back to a save point, whatever. It's so linear, who cares? But there would be sections where I would try and go and explore more of the map or try out an area that I hadn't been in before. And I often picked up on, okay, well, this is the game's signal that I'm not supposed to be here. And one of those big signals was, in Metroid games, you can't deal with the cold. So you go into the cold room, and I got to a point where I got so frustrated with the game because it happened to me, I think, more than once of, okay, I've done all this exploration, I've collected all these upgrades, I found, these little nuanced steps forward, open more of the map up, and then I get to this area and it's like, well, I'm in a cold room. So do I push through and try and make it to maybe an area that I can get to then, jump into the next zone or some secret or something like that? And I would do it and then boom, dead back at the restart point, and I'm like, well, fuck, okay, whatever. Now I'm going to go collect all my crap again and just know I'm not going to go into the ice room. Why was that frustrating? Because, well, normally you'd say, I've learned my lesson, I'm not going to go do that. There's a fucking point in that game where you have to go through a cold room, and it's just like, it may have only been a very brief hallway, but it was still something where you had to go and take damage from cold to progress through the level. I'm like, fuck you, game. That's bad design.
I don't think you ever have to go through a cold room.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
I'm with Jeff Griff, but I think I hit against the point that you're describing, and I watched some sort of walkthrough, and that wasn't necessary. I think I did it the same way you did, Griff, and thought it was, but I don't think it was entirely necessary. But the game shouldn't have. The broader point, which I agree with you 100%, Griff, is that the game shouldn't have dangled that in front of you. It shouldn't have.
Well,
if the logic is, I was just gonna say, if the logic is that when you're confronted with this, the answer is turn back because you're not prepared to deal with this yet. It shouldn't allow you at one point to kind of get around something that way.
Well, I think I think it was an intentional design, right? So the cold rooms, if we think about why they did that, right? So the cold rooms. Yeah, they're lethal, but they're tantalizingly not quite lethal if you're good enough. So I think the reason they did that was to incentivize nonlinear play, right? And I think you're pointing out a pitfall of that design, which is like, well, shit. Like I thought the cold meant don't go, and now in this case, the cold meant go. Well, maybe you didn't have to go that way, but that was a workable path. And if you experience the game in that way, it makes it feel like, well, the game betrayed its own design. I think for someone who comes into it with the mindset of like, well, I know there's a critical path, but I want to explore some optional ideas for how to proceed, that person might appreciate that more. But I know where you're coming from, and I definitely had moments where I was like, I guess I'll try to go through the cold rooms. But then I realized, yeah, like, you never really need to be cold unless you have the cold suit.
I swear to God, there's a cold room, and when I say room, I mean like a hallway that's tiny. It's like it takes you 30, 10 seconds to walk through. You can see the end of the room, but it's cold and it's damaging you. I swear to God, that's critical path and it's part of it, and it's like you can just blow through it really quick.
I don't remember that being a thing, but maybe. I'll have to look into it.
It's so funny because, comparing it to a game like Hollow Knight, in Hollow Knight, it is much just broader and wider, and there's much more you can explore more freely. And yet, in Hollow Knight, for some reason, and I did spend a lot of time being very lost in Hollow Knight, I never felt as frustrated with the game itself. I always thought there was something that Hollow Knight was doing that kind of put the onus on me. And it's like, oh, I didn't check this, closely enough, and there was a way forward. Whereas in this game, it confines you, as I said, it confines you to a very small string of hallways, and it's just find the block, and sometimes you just miss it a million times.
Well,
so,
I think that speaks to a weakness of marrying the linear design to like occasional nonlinear elements, right? It's like, you've created the gamer's expectation that like they're going to know where to go all the time, and then when they don't, or when there's a weird choice to make, it's like, this is odd. This is not in line with what you've been doing for the whole game so far.
True, yeah.
Yeah. I would also say, too, that I didn't play a ton of Hollow Knight, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Metroid games are more contingent on a doling out of abilities that then allow your enhanced traversal, where Hollow Knight did require you to input certain platforming or commands or something like that to navigate through portions of the game where you could feel like this is a fault on me because I'm not able to execute to maneuver into this hallway or what have you, versus should I be doing something differently, or do I not have the equipment to get to this next area, which is something I experienced with Metroid.
Yeah, I mean, I would say in Hollow Knight there are a couple moments where maybe you have to like be good enough to get there. I think sometimes enemies will gate areas.
Yeah, for sure.
But there's also just some classic, like, I don't have the ability that opens this door.
Gotcha.
Places.
Okay.
There's a lot of world that you can go to without having your full ability set, and like areas that you can kind of preview that have maybe one impassable part, but other parts that aren't impassable. And there's lots of different ways to get to different points of the world. You just have a lot of choices.
I think that, yeah, exactly. I think the biggest design difference between the two games is that in Hollow Knight, it will allow you to enter partially into this huge area that you are not fully equipped to traverse yet. And yet there will be some breadcrumbs in that area and some minor upgrades that will reward you for taking a look, even if you're not ready to progress through it.
Yeah.
Whereas with this game, it's like you're either ready or you're not.
Yeah.
And there might be, I seem to recall, regardless, separate from the thing that Griffin is describing, I seem to recall either one cold room or one hot room where I did not have the upgrade to go through it, yet I was able to run in there, get a quick upgrade, and get out. And I would have come across that upgrade more organically later in the game had I just done it at the game's pace. But, I kind of like that. I like when you're able to take a peek in, maybe get something, but realize you're not ready. And Hollow Knight does that, I think, in a more nuanced and probably just better way overall. But I agree with Jeff that in terms of just fun and just the quality of the game, this game, to me, comes close to Hollow Knight in terms of what it offers and what's unique about it. I really enjoyed it.
It's just different. I mean, it's a studio with a big budget working on a modern Metroid game, and sinking a lot of talent and energy into developing a really fun combat system and a plethora of cool encounters, some like mid bosses and full on bosses that are all pretty interesting and tough, like very hard game.
So I praising the game, I enjoyed the boss fights. I struggled. I eventually got through them. I didn't use a guide for anything at all. I was very adamant about that, and because I don't think I've ever played a Metroid game without using a guide. So I was like, oh, let's do this, the old-fashioned way. But yes, I agree that the serotonin spike and whatever was wonderful in beating the boss.
Dopamine.
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you guys are the professionals on that. That was great. It was good. It was good to beat my head against something, learn it, and then be able to surpass it. I enjoyed that a lot, and I think that was. I'll stop there. I enjoyed that part of it.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the difficulty spike in it too, or the challenge rating, I should say, when comparing that to Death's Door. Because when I was playing Death's Door, I was like, I'm just so tired. I'm so tired of this year.
You know what is interesting? And did either of you guys play Blasphemous?
I played the demo. It was a hard game.
I've never heard of it.
Blasphemous is a really wonderful Metroidvania with a cool religious kind of motif and art style.
I think also developed by a Spanish studio, right?
Yes. And I'm surprised that neither of you, especially you, Jeff, I'm surprised that you never got into it. I played most of the way through. There's an update that's kind of tempting me back. But in my mind, it kind of splits the difference between Hollow Knight and this game. Mm-hmm. And there are options for exploration. It's quite difficult, but it's not as difficult as Hollow Knight can get. And the exploration options are more truncated than Hollow Knight, but not as truncated as this game. So I'm surprised. I think you guys should check out if you got that itch and you're like,
nope,
that might be one to think about.
I very nearly bought it, Jamie. I almost picked it up a couple of years ago on sale.
Yeah, I played the demo. Now that you say it and give it some more detail, I think I watched several of the endings too and thought it was very cool.
Yeah.
I do want to say though, my last kind of, I didn't enjoy the game as much as you guys. In fact, I am team Castlevania now, and no longer I don't. And here's why. Because there is so much emphasis on exploration and traversal and finding, searching every little nook and cranny, that I kept asking myself, well, why am I doing this, right? I'm progressing the story, obviously, there's joy in filling out a map and what have you. But, you learn the enemy's pattern and you move on. It happens very quickly. The challenge rating on those things is extremely low. And those big mid bosses and capstone bosses are very interesting and fun. But none of the work that you do in the game ever really has any influence on that. And I got to the point where I was like, well, if I'm going and I'm killing these little things, these little critters every hallway to get health that I don't need right now, like, what am I doing this for? And it made me pine for like the Castlevania or God, what was the Bloodstained? Yes, of like I kill things and therefore I get items, or even like like you're saying, like I get souls to level, and I have some sort of character progression through this. It makes the repetition, a little bit more, puts a reason behind why you're doing it. It makes the grind a little bit more enticing, softens the edges as well. So that was something that stood out to me, especially when I would hear discourse on the game and the constant refrain of like, well, it's just so easy to move around the map and the enemies become so trivial. And it's like, well, why is that praise? Like, oh, okay. So the combat that we're so happy with is like not needed at some point because we just need to get through it. Interesting.
I mean, that's Dark Souls, though, right? I mean, that's what happens when you're running to the boss, right? From the fire.
I'm doing things, right? Like I kill things to get my souls.
Yeah, but when you're just trying the boss over and over again, you're just running past all the enemies.
Yeah, but you're proving my point, right? Like, I have that option. I only have one speed in Metroid, which is get to the bosses.
Yeah. I mean, I understand what you're saying. It becomes a kind of busy work that doesn't deliver any rewards. It's like the Paper Mario complaint, right? Like, why am I doing all this fighting if I don't get experience? I'm just wasting my resources.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
I mean, totally get where you're coming from. I think the game to me did a good job of trivializing the areas, but making them enough of an annoyance that like traversal is kind of interesting. But I could see where that could be frustrating, especially if you get lost. Just having to go back and forth and through these respawning rooms over and over again. Just like, okay, why am I here? What's the point of this at this point? I've already endured this challenge. I'm not getting anything out of it.
Yeah. I think it does rely on you enjoying as Vinny Caravello puts it, the running around. Like, this is the type of game where I would boot it up and, like, I'm just jumping. I'm just jumping across the screen a couple times because I'm like, she curls into a ball and it's a cool jump. Like, and if you dig it that much, then you'll put up with a lot. But if you're not, like, on board with that and that level of floatiness doesn't feel as perfect to you as it does to me, then there certainly is much less of an incentive to go around and games have worked out ways to make you not gain experience and still enjoy it. I mean, the example that comes to mind is Undertale, and you get money even though you're not getting experience, and you can spend it on items, and it's just fun to interact with that game in that way. But I hear you, Griff, that if you're
Also,
I think
Bloodstained
Undertale
does
is
own.
rewarding you massively in different ways too, though, for progressing through it.
sure.
Hey, you mentioned Undertale. Did you want to touch on Deltarune at all, Jamie? I realize I also played that. I played chapters 1 and 2.
Oh, sorry. Let me just get this in here too. The Emmys are terrible. All right.
Fuck the Emmys. The Emmys got fucked.
Yeah.
The Emmys get worse, and the Game Awards just keep getting better.
I do want to say before we move on, though, I just need to have one last comment here on Metroid Dread, which is, I have problems with the game, and I think that the game has design flaws. Nonetheless, I still think I had a great. Looking back on my experience with it, even immediately afterwards, it wasn't like a wipe hands. So glad to throw this thing in the garbage. Like, I enjoyed my time. I enjoyed the peaks and valleys of the combat. The
nooks and crannies.
All the Tom Nooks of it all. So I think that I want to speak more critically about the game because I think that the conversation needs to be had where it's very easy praise to say Metroid was great, but not really think critically about what the game was doing. And I'm bringing that because I'm coming as a non-Metroid person, right? Yeah. But then I enjoy listening to you guys speak highly of it, and I'm with you. I just found that in my playthrough there were so many points that caused frustration with me that I feel like the rose-tinted glasses of, oh, this is another Metroid game that came out, oh my gosh, let's not speak poorly of it, otherwise it won't come out again, can just become the constant refrain that you have.
Well, I don't think that's... Well, we both started this conversation by saying the last one that the studio made was dog shit. But I agree with you 100%, Griffin. I think it always pays to look at something critically, especially when the default is, oh, it's so amazing, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. I think it's totally a fair criticism. I think that it has flaws, it has warts, and I think there are some fundamental flaws with Metroidvania and like pure Metroid experience. And I think this isn't necessarily the best Metroid game ever made. That said, it was really fun, and I'm delighted that it came to pass and that it is as successful as it was in terms of what it was doing, especially given the pedigree behind it, which I wasn't very excited about to begin with. I think this is a big step for this studio, and I think a big step for the franchise. And again, as Jamie said, I came in expecting not to be blown away, but just really delighted about what I did experience, even though there were some things that kind of tempered my experience a little bit.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so not a perfect game, but a delightful game to experience, and a lot better than I expected it to be. Oftentimes when I engage with a Metroid game, I'm like, oh, it's going to be like 8,000 of the same hallway. Why am I doing this? But no, this wasn't that. It just, I don't know. It had a cool world. Bad story.
As someone
though.
who's yeah, bad story. But as someone who's been ripping apart Game Boy Advances like a lot and playing a lot of Metroid Fusion, I was surprised with how some of the design choices of the game felt quite antiquated in a way that I enjoy, but I found but I thought would be quite frustrating for a lot of people, and it was almost refreshing in that way because I was primed by playing so much Fusion to kind of be like, okay, I'm in the mood for this. But I was quite surprised, and I'm surprised that it's gotten the reception that it's gotten, given those impediments, a lot of which, Griff, you've mentioned.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those things that you're saying, Griff, which definitely were there, strike me as like very old in terms of like game design sensibilities. You know, and yet they're there, and it's surprising that they chose that way to approach it.
Yeah, I think it was a bold title. You know, I think it could have played it a lot safer and a lot more subdued in a lot of ways, and it really went for it in a way that I just didn't expect out of the studio. And for me, that's exciting. You know, it's exciting to see Nintendo, you know, letting a product kind of be a little audacious in its way, and that was pretty cool. So, yeah.
And they made her a woman at the end.
Yeah, right. What was that about?
Whoa!
Not in my game. State of man.
Oh, she's actually a bird, though. So
also, someone was reading the Miiverse for a post because Why Can't Metroid Crawl has become relevant to the conversation again. That's all I'm saying.
So good.
I wanted to say too that I thought that it did strike me as like some of the Death Stranding syndrome of like, you have to experience the pain to enjoy the highs of the game. So I think that there's something to be said there too. Maybe that is not good design, but I think in this regard it did work out to, like, you know, the reward of beating those troublesome, challenging bosses was really, really worthwhile for me.
Press triangle to crawl through microwave hallway.
Yeah, baby. Do they call them Mercury Steam games now and not Metroidvanias? Since
Mercury Steamoidvanias.
All right.
Yeah, Jamie, did you want to chat about Deltarune for a hot second? Because you're checking those out.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I mean, you and I have spoken a lot about it, and I feel like we agree on the point that I felt like the developer probably felt somewhat crushed. Toby Fox probably felt somewhat crushed under the weight of the success of Undertale.
Yeah.
And I feel like, especially in the beginning of Chapter 1 of Deltarune, I feel like you sense that pressure bearing down on him as far as the writing goes. And I feel like it just seems like, on the one hand, speaking of pandering again, it feels like he's pandering to the fans of the original game. And yet, as the game progresses, as Chapter 1 progresses, I feel like he increasingly starts to free himself of that. And I think that it just becomes a richer story as the game goes on because of that. And Jeff, you're saying that in Chapter 2, it really feels like he's kind of striking out on his own, and he feels, you feel like in terms of the writing, he feels free to kind of explore new things, right?
Yeah, I think, Griff, you haven't checked out Chapter 2 yet, right?
Have not. I enjoyed Chapter 1 a lot.
Chapter 1 I liked okay. I felt a lot of that kind of like, okay, this is the follow-up to Undertale. Like, invariably I'm going to be doing some comparison, and some of the elements that were added, like these little subtle things, like having a character that uses profanity, felt really weird to me. Just tonally, it felt like it was trying to separate itself a little bit, but was kind of like lost in the shadow. I liked it, but it also it felt like weirdly limited and kind of like, okay, what's going to become of this? Like, you're asking me to invest in this world, but I don't know how big it is. Playing Chapter 2, well, I actually replayed Chapter 1 before I played Chapter 2, and I think having a few years to get away from Undertale and my memory of it was helpful in enjoying Chapter 1 a little bit more. But also Chapter 2, just a much bigger, beefier experience. Not even necessarily like a ton longer than Chapter 1, but just fuller in a lot of ways. I think he's done the work of kind of establishing the world a little bit, and now, this is the space where you can sort of see, okay, well, how is this going to be iterated on? How does this work, first of all, as an episodic game? And also, how does it, how do we take what we've seen of the world and build that, right? Because the world in Chapter 1 feels pretty finite, right? It's like you got the town, and you've got the area that you go to. After finishing that, I was like, well, what, are we just going to putter around in these places for the next however many hours. Chapter 2 does some cool stuff. Has some really sharp writing. Kind of establishes like who's along for the ride with us, who might we only see in one chapter. Just kind of does a really good job, I think, of making it clear kind of what the overall scope of the project is, and also just adding a little more depth to the combat and the characters, while still respecting what came before. That was another thing I was a little worried about. I was like, okay, like, we've seen this combat system. Is he locked into this thing for like the next 5 years? Well, as it turns out, not exactly. There's some cool stuff going on.
That's exciting.
Yeah. I'm not going to give you everything, but go ahead.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because I actually really, I mean, I think I like chapter 1 more than you do, but I really dig the combat. I think it's cool, and I'm excited that he changes it up, because I mean, I'm all for that, but I am actually quite happy with what I've seen of the game so far in terms of that.
I think it felt a little basic to me, and what the changes that occur are...
I'm a basic bitch. We all know this.
The changes that occur are additional wrinkles, I would say. So it's... And he's also does that thing that he did in Undertale, which is like not be afraid to just do something totally random for like one segment of the game.
Cool.
And I don't want to spoil those moments for you because they're really fun. But lots of cool upending of the tea table moments.
That's awesome.
Sweet.
I love that.
Yeah. And really, charming, heartfelt story beats again. These characters are introduced and we get a little time to let them breathe, and that's really fun too.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
Yeah. I liked it quite a bit. Griff, you got to play chapter 2. It's real fun.
I'm sorry, it's on my list of games to do. Speaking of breathing, can you breathe in space? Because Halo's there. You guys think about that game?
I like it. I played the basically intro. I just got to the open world. I'm playing it on PC and Xbox One X. I'm kind of bouncing back and forth just for fun, and I'm digging it. It seems like it's paced in an interesting way. It's a little bit like leisurely. It's not hitting me over the head with stuff.
You're playing the campaign that way, you're saying?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And Jeff and I have tried the multiplayer as well, which I thought was fun, if a little sparse.
Yeah, I agree.
But
I would definitely play more.
I am curious to see more of that game. But I really don't have much to say. I really haven't played very much. But it looks great. It performs well on both my PC and my Xbox One X. And it feels like Halo.
Have you gotten to the open world Sonic Frontier portion?
They literally just opened the hatch to the open world. Okay. And like immediately a giant ship drops in and people start attacking you. And I was like, but I think I am going to play more, and I'm excited about it. I like it. It really does feel like I remember Halo, and I haven't played Halo since Halo 2. So
yeah, that was
interesting.
That was my big takeaway. I was like, these enemies are like spongy in the way that when you're killing someone in Halo. This is a strange thing to say. When you're shooting someone in Halo, and it feels like you're like firing against metal,
and it's mostly not fun. Yes.
And it's kind of just bouncing off the metal for a while before you actually hurt them, and like you need to shoot them like 20 times before they die. It's that.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that was my immediate reaction to be like, I don't want to play this game because I have that that feeling.
Here's the thing: everything old is new again.
Well, yes, exactly. But yes. Getting back on track though, Jeff, did you play? Are you Halo? Are you sticking?
I played. So I did not play any of the original Halos because I didn't have an Xbox, and first-person shooters were not my bag. I played some multiplayer and I had fun with it. I played a little bit with Jamie, a little bit with Adam. I would be happy to play some more because it's a silly time. It just feels good. I agree with the sparse comment. It's like the stuff we were playing was 4v4, which is kind of a limited environment. I feel like bigger would be better. And I know that exists. I just didn't surface it. Like there are big team battles, which I didn't mess around with. I thought it was really fun. Some of the weapons were a little tricky, but it's cool. I like
getting into a vehicle and just owning people is as fun as it was when I was playing Halo 2 with like 8 people with the Xbox One, the original, like strung together with a LAN cable.
Grenades may be less fun.
Grenades are less fun. I agree, 100%.
Yep.
And in the campaign, it's the same thing. The same things that were fun back then for me are fun now. And if you didn't like it back then, you're not going to like it now. Like you have
Gotcha.
to you have to be carrying a normal gun, like a human military person gun and an alien gun, because you have to use the alien gun to shoot through the alien shields. And then you switch to the normal person gun. That's exactly like it was in Halo 1 and 2. And it's the exact same here.
So
and
this is just like your Game Awards thoughts of it was better before. Let's go back.
We need to go back.
Yeah, I think it's nice to
I'm
see
joking
Halo
there.
being Halo-y, because I feel like 343i has been kind of not doing good Halo.
Can I ask you, Jeff, where you're getting that perspective from, having not played Halo games? From what you said?
Watching them.
Okay. So you're invested in the universe and you're engaging in them.
I don't know the lore on a deep level, but just looking
I
at
don't
the
think
game, I'm
anybody
like,
does.
this doesn't look like a Halo. This looks like a Call of Duty that wants to be Halo.
You don't know about John?
John Halo?
John Halo?
I love John Halo.
He doesn't
watch
need
that
to
TV
eat.
show.
I only care about Craig. Wait, does Master Chief eat his poop like in Dune?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. You guys
Because
know
he's
that
like
it's
any
in
other way,
space.
He's
like
he could
in
take his helmet off, so he wouldn't have to.
But he's totally like, he was in space for like a time. He
Oh, yeah.
definitely eaten
Multiple
his own.
times.
Yeah. Like he's usually found in space eating his own shit. And then someone's like, you got to help us out.
John Halo, stop eating your own shit. It just seems like a fun time, and for the price of free on Game Pass, I can't ignore it. You know, I want to play a stupid multiplayer game with friends, and it seems like it's pretty zeitgeisty and it's pretty polished.
The character of the Cortana sequel that you get pretty early on seems...
Butlar?
No, not Butler. The lady.
Oh, okay.
The lady who you put in your head. She seems like she'll be kind of interesting and a nice counterpoint to the way that he's characterized in this game, because he's quite Doom guy-ish in this game, like Doom 2016 Doom guy-ish, like not going to say a sentence that has more than 3 or 4 words in
Right.
it, and he's going to punch stuff sometimes.
Right.
And
This
she
has
kind
no
of
tactical advantage.
exactly, and she kind of
It
whereas
doesn't taste like poop.
Whereas the Spanish guy you meet in the beginning of the game really isn't any like comedic relief and not a good foil for Halo John Man, she is, and she's like cracking wise in a way that is, sparse and not overwhelming and not
Spartan,
annoying, but
please.
nice, very nice. So I think that'll be part of that'll be part of what keeps me coming back, in addition to just liking the way that Halo has felt since I played it when the Xbox One came out all those years ago. But,
I hear, Jamie, that exact thing you mentioned is a return to form, as it's back to the original Cortana vibe of like, here's your quirky, plucky AI with you, versus the Cortana in the later games that's like, fucking kill them all, I'm turning rampant.
Yeah. This Cortana is definitely not like that. This Cortana, when he says something stupid, like when he punches a screen because he's just impatient and he wants to kill all the bad guys, she's like, ooh, that's weird. It's weird that you do that. You're a weird guy.
I'm sad that they don't give you Butlar. So, Griffin, in the multiplayer, you get AI buddies, but they're really awful.
Yeah.
In the multiplayer training mode, they introduce you to Butlar, who's just a very sassy man who's like, double kill, Butlar.
Oh, he's the announcer.
Yeah,
Nice.
but he what else? I don't remember what he does. He's
The
just
enemy
worst.
dropped the ball.
Ball incoming. No, he's not the announcer. He has his own spiky tude, but it's very unpleasant.
I hear there's some odd humor in the game, in a good way that you wouldn't expect. So I definitely am excited to play it. I know I just said I don't want to because of the shooting, but I'm excited to suffer through yet another Halo game for the story.
I'm
I
usually
have
not a mouse and
for most of
I'm
them.
usually
The
I'm usually not-
banished.
I'm not a mouse and keyboard kind of guy, but playing it on PC, bouncing back and forth between PC and Xbox One X, I find it much more enjoyable with mouse and keyboard. And one thing that's cool is I was dicking around with the settings on the Xbox Series X is that you can just plug in any old USB mouse and keyboard into that thing, and you can just use that, which is kind of
cool.
which is kind of cool. So
Just full 16,000 DPI.
Did did either of you guys play Destiny or Destiny 2 a lot?
Not a
Played the
lot.
demo.
Okay. No, just curious.
That
'cause,
wizard came from the moon.
Yeah, yep. I played the multiplayer in Destiny 2 quite a bit, so that's kind of where I'm coming from my last experience with this style of, not aim down sights space shooter.
Yeah.
Where it sounds like, from everything I've heard, there's enough like excitement in the weapons and arsenal that you kind of get into this like character action style combat, though it is all, the same. The weapon is going to do the same for one person or the other, and anybody has the same capacity to pick up something. So the specificity and need to play a archetype does not exist like it does in Destiny. So that is both interesting and not interesting. It serves both double-edged purposes for me. In that I'm curious about it, but then also I'm off-put because I enjoyed the Destiny multiplayer and playing a role.
It feels old as hell. Like,
Yeah.
it's just having it, like you said,
Interesting,
Griff,
okay.
just now, just having it be like, you don't hold the button to aim down sights. You click a button and then you're aiming down sight. Like,
Yeah,
just
Yeah.
that kind
or,
of.
depending on your weapon, maybe you're doing some other weird thing that isn't actually aiming down sights.
Exactly,
They all have their own right-click action.
It definitely does not feel modern
Yeah.
in that way. Yeah.
Right.
So it's fun though. I immediately like some of the weapons, and that shifts over time. So it's got a good variety. It's disorienting, but in a good way. So,
Any other last topics here before we sign off? I think we covered the majority of the games on the list. Obviously, tons more that we didn't talk about last time and still haven't talked about yet, to which...
I restarted my island in Animal Crossing New Horizons, and I've played it so much, and I love it so much, and they made a bunch of changes. It's a really good game.
I heard the version 2.0 update is pretty great. Jessica's playing it.
Good.
She's liking it quite a bit.
It is like a sizable improvement they've made to that game. Don't want to go into it today, but if you have been wanting to scratch that itch again, oh my god, I love it. So good.
I just want to quickly hype Super Auto Pets, which is my first ever auto battler.
Oh, interesting.
Have you heard of this game, Griff?
I have,
No.
yeah.
Okay.
Is this PC? What is this?
PC and Android coming to iOS soon.
Yes.
It's okay. Auto Chess. You guys familiar with that game?
Yes.
So I'm just going to give you the quick explanation of how they work, because I feel like I knew nothing about this type of game, and now I understand it pretty well. So the way it works is you go through rounds, and you're building a squad, and you have resources. So you have assets you can spend every round, and you can also spend on rerolls to like try to get better versions of items. And in this game, you're purchasing animals, and you have to build a squad of 5 animals. And when you hit go, you're randomly matched against another squad, and the battle plays out without you pressing anything. It's all about like where you positioned your animals. Free game, and just extremely fun and infuriating because people are so good. But it is.
Are you only playing against other people?
Yep, but they don't do anything, and the battles are automated. So it's all anonymized, right? Like there's no group chat or like voice or any of that crap. It's just like choose a team name from these list of approved terms, and then watch your guys fight other teams. And your goal is to win 10 times. And if you lose too many times, then you fail and you're out. Super simple. Anyone can do it, but surprisingly laden with depth.
Yeah.
Cool.
There is some Venn diagram crossover with deck building style games. Is that
A little bit,
fair
yeah.
to say, Jeff? Okay.
Yep, I would say so. And the meta and all that stuff is really important, but it is such a simple thing to understand when you play it. Every new animal costs $3. You start every round with $10. You can't save any money between rounds. A reroll costs $1. And you can sell things back depending on their level for anywhere from 1 to 3 gold, and that's the whole game. You can also buy upgrades for your animals for $3. And somehow out of that simple system, there's so much crap going on. It's real good.
Cool.
You should check it out.
Sweet. Will do. I will actually check that out.
Yeah, it's
I'm
free.
good to hear you're enjoying it too.
Oh, yeah. Also, the content creator, the one person I follow on YouTube and have been following for years now.
Northern Lion.
Yes, he actually helped to become popular.
Cool.
He's all right.
On that note,
He's not like those other girls.
where was he in the Game Awards then?
He was not a trending gamer.
No, it was delicious or cupcake or graph this year, right?
All I have to say is for esports coaches, B1 AD3 got shorted.
Sorry, the joke was done after the first two words. All right, guys. Always a pleasure talking with you. We'll check back in again, hopefully before the end of the year or at the start of it, to talk about some of the favorites.
Sounds good.
So appreciate the time.
Love it.
Thanks,
Yeah.
guys.
Thank
Alrighty.
you.
Fun as always.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.